What do you think of Jackson, and how does he fit with a roster that is bringing everybody back? Like, that might be an interesting thing to monitor for Hubert, is that, like, this is your biggest recruiting get in your time. Obviously, it's been brief, but you want to set the right tone with him. Like, you want to get him involved. You want to do stuff, but it seems like might work into what you're saying, where you're like, well, he could help in those months from November to February where UNC was not what we saw in the tournament. And this might be the buffer, is more depth, so that they can be more of the team that we saw in the tournament throughout the year. With the more depth, where you don't have to play your starters until they die on the court. Like, there might be a scenario where you don't have to do that next year. So I don't know. What do you make of GG, and do you think it's a big turning point guy for the Tar Heel program?
So first, I'm going to stand by a take I fired off after the title game, which is that Hubert should have retired right there.
Ooh.
How exactly are you going to get better than, one, ending your hated rival's career with a loss in the Final Four and in his final home game against you? Two, making it to the title game as an 8 seed, which, I mean, I know that had happened like in our lifetimes with Butler, but it's still crazy hard to do that. And then 3, coming up just 3 points short of a title. Really, that 1-3 short of a title. We already touched on UNC first overall in the way too early top 25s, which, I mean, for me, it's like that's more worth reading for a laugh than for anything serious. And again, seems like a death knell for the repeat hopes. I don't feel like I've ever seen a team that was number 1 in a way too early top 25 win it all. But again, really good for famed underdog North Carolina to get the next great front court star there.
Yeah.
So they have some interesting stay-go decisions for next season with Love and with a couple other guys that could impact this. But I think as of now, G.G. Jackson, fairly obvious day one starter and contributor.
Who goes to the bench then?
Huh?
Who goes to the bench then?
That's a great question. That's on Hubert to find out. The upper range comp I saw for him is Carmelo, which seems pretty wild because that's like, if you're Carmelo, you're probably going number 1 in the draft now.
Yeah.
But, I mean, the more median outcome, which seems more realistic, but it's still really nice, is Daryl Arthur. I can't remember which it was, but like...
I think it's Daryl Arthur.
Daryl Arthur was really good
Double-zero
for Kansas. Yeah, he was very good for Kansas and carved out that nice, long NBA career where he was like a stats hero.
He was just a rebounding dude. That man was just gobbling up rebounds. He was undersized for the positions he played, but like he was a rebound guy.
Yeah, tough, gritty guy. So, I mean, I think Jackson's going to be very, very good for them. And I want to see... sort of how they play out, where he fits in the rotation. I don't know. Back on the point with UNC's recruiting, I think this is not exactly how it's always been, but I mean, you look at the championship teams UNC has had, every single one was led by upperclassmen. I mean, You had Justin Jackson for the win over Gonzaga, Bryce Johnson when they came up just short against Villanova, the Tyler Hansborough years, Kennedy Meeks was a big part of that title team. All of those guys, juniors and seniors. And they had some help from underclass guys, but, North Carolina, of the Blue Bloods, has sort of been the most reliant on the upperclassmen, I think, over the years. So, Roy never seemed to really rush towards the one-and-dones quite the way Kay did towards the end there. And I wonder if we'll see sort of a reversal of that with Hubert, whether Hubert is more open to taking those types and saying, I'm willing to take the risk that this guy's only here for 1 year if it means we get a Final Four bid with him.
Yeah. I don't know. That should be interesting to monitor. But either way, I think it's a good thing and a good sign for the health of North Carolina's basketball program. And I think they're moving in the right direction. I think it seems like Hubert's the guy, and the transition might be seamless, and it's going to work. But it's interesting you bring that up, because I do think that might be the pivot, is where he strays from Roy as he gets more of the GGs and the one-and-dones and worries less about the upperclassmen aspect. And also, folks, don't look up how old Tyler Hansborough is right now, because it will ruin your day. You're just like, oh no, this man's almost 40. Like that, life comes at you fast. I didn't like it. I saw it the other day.
Ooh,
and
36.
See?
I don't like that he has been replaced as the first Tyler H.
Oh no!
In the Google autocomplete by Tyler Hero. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he was number 1 for many, many years, obviously. Now it's Tyler Hero.
Legends die, man. This is part of the business. Life keeps rolling along. Latest Tennessee notes. So I was listening to various pods. I think it was on VolQuest today when I was doing some chores around the house this morning. And I was listening to, I think it was Rob, who mentioned that there's not a lot of bigs in the portal. So it's like to replace BHH or anything, like fans who are concerned about the big rotation, it's like, go look in the portal. There's no one there. Like Rick Barnes is kind of strapped there. There's nobody he can really add that would move the needle at all. But what they did mention was that, hey, do not be surprised if you're going to get another Euros or a Santiago pop in to UT this fall. So it seems like there's going to be a random player that none of us know about that is just going to pop up in this roster and then be a great contributor for the next 3 years. So that is something to think about. I don't know. When you look at this depth now that Justin Powell, we have not recorded since he entered the portal. So we know Bailey's gone to George Mason. We know Powell's gone. BHH goes to Louisville. I don't know. Yuri Collins stays at St. Louis, which is a huge surprise and I think a bummer for Tennessee. I think they really thought they were going to get him.